Hi everyone, I'm Dave, KE6GAE, the Hillbilly Ham, and you're watching the Ham Radio Kids Table.
Hey everybody, Punk Rock Ham Radio here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You are watching the Ham Radio Kids Table. Have a seat, enjoy your dinner. Don't forget to eat your vegetables. Seriously, eat your vegetables.
Hi, I'm Julie, KJ4ULZ, one half of POTA Power. You are watching Ham Radio Kids Table. POTA Power on!
Hey, I'm Steve Goodgame, K5ATA, and you're watching the Ham Radio Kids Table.
Hi, I'm Walt, K4OGO, you're watching Ham Radio Kids Table. Let's get salty.
Damn it, button. I'm sorry. Hey, good, happy,
Damn it.
happy
Good
morning. Happy
something good after evening noon. Welcome to the Ham Radio Kids Table. We are going to rent you the seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Oh, no. By the way, Tim, Frank approved.
Oh,
At this point in time, I think Tim is doing this on purpose.
There's no better way to start a show than with "damn it."
Yeah.
Well, it's better than other four-lettered words like, work
Yeah.
and stuff.
Agreed.
oh, golly darn it. Well, hey, everybody, welcome to Wednesday edition of the Ham Radio Kids Table. I guess it's always a Wednesday edition, so I shouldn't have said that, but hey, whatever.
Whatever works.
Well, look, you're setting it up for other editions in the future.
That is true.
So you're setting it up. You're just teeing it up now. It's all. I got you, man. I got you.
We were having a corporate strategy meeting at the Ham Radio Kids Table, and we're talking about how we can knock the competition off the block, right? How we can knock out and either take over the Ham Radio Clubhouse or Coffee and Ham Radio's seat.
Oh man. I have a question. I have a question for the rest of the panelists. Did the rest of y'all bring your hip waders?
I've got a snow shovel.
Nope.
Well, and honestly, in true Ham Radio fashion, I'm right in line with what we're doing here, right? Hip waders are a uniform of the day.
Yes, uniform of the day, exactly.
Uniform of the day.
But I finally was just able to get out of my uniform.
Hey Jeff, you may want to shift yourself to the opposite side of your camera. Just saying.
I can't because I'm on my phone. Tim has to do that for me.
Jeff.
Oh,
Hang on.
On the other side,
the other
don't
Jeff,
like me over
Frank.
The
here?
other Jeff, Frank.
Frank is behind the logo.
Carlos, I'm behind the logo on purpose.
Frank's in a pouty. Frank's in a pouty mood today.
I mean, it's certainly the best look for you, man. It's just I saw Jeff's logo under yours, and I thought it was Jeff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, does Jeff have two cameras? What's going on here?
Hi.
There he
Frank's,
is.
No,
Frank's in the
I'm
pouty
good
mood.
Someone
over
get
here.
me a drink. I need a drink.
I'm over here for a reason.
Frank's in the corner.
Frank's in a pouty mood.
He's in the
today.
corner again.
Are we gonna call him baby now?
I don't know.
Nobody puts Frank in a corner.
That's right.
As long as we don't start singing Baby Shark when we say Baby Frank.
Hey,
Baby
Frank,
Frank, baby Frank.
it is my world at the moment.
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old grandson. I know I've been through both stages with that song.
Carlos, you got to buy me coffee before you call me baby.
Okay, we can arrange that at
All
Huntsville.
right, this is not Kids Table After Dark.
That's a good question. Who else going to Huntsville? Everybody going to Huntsville?
Joke's on you, Carlos. I'm not going to Huntsville.
Well, jokes
Neither am I.
on you.
I'm
You
not
don't
going.
get no coffee
Mine-
for you.
My appearance is tentative, depending on the move, but I do have a spot.
What?
Gotta secure a tent, but if things are in the meat of the move, I may not be able to make it.
By the way, if you want to go to Huntsville and you're not certain you can get a spot at Montesano, I know of 2 slots that are available
For a broker fee, of course.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Just
2
a few
slots.
failings.
Just a little.
Just saying,
Slots.
Hey, $20 is $20, man.
Exactly. See,
Well, I don't know. It depends on how close you are
I'm
to the
flying
back
in
of
and
the
staying at a
powerhouse.
hotel, so it's like, and as a matter of fact, I'm staying at a hotel right there at the convention center. So
Smartest man in the room.
I'm living a dream.
But here's the problem, Walt. If you do that, you don't get to partake on the debauchery that is Montesano.
Well, I'm going to have I'll have a rental car. I can come visit.
You may be visiting
quite the same.
overnight. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we'll Uber.
You may not want to drive. after dark.
Exactly. He probably won't want to drive to that.
Yeah.
Well, so we do have some people in the audience asking what our live stream is about tonight. So I pasted in at least one of the chats. We are here to talk about the Ham Radio Kids Table and the Salty Walt Summer Ham Radio Challenge. That's what we're here to do tonight.
Build an antenna in this book. Impress us. Of course, Tim's going to give us all the rules, but I want to see. You know how many comments? I built that antenna. I built it. It was great. It was great. Okay, show me. I want to see it. We all want to see it.
We're gonna talk about that later, but let's just get into it. So back at Dayton, after Walt's book came out, and hearing a lot of those comments, people mentioning that they've been building them or they've used your diagrams and stuff that you had put up on X and your YouTube channel over the last couple of years. I'm thinking, hey, dude, let's have some fun. Let's have a summer challenge. And so I kind of started putting some framework around that. And this is what we've come up with. And I'm going to, unfortunately, probably, I'm going to share the thing. Some of you guys are going to get knocked off the screen, unfortunately. So
some of us are better, like we have a voice for radio anyway. So that's all.
My
good.
mom always said.
Or better still,
face for radio.
I was going to say that's what my mom said. I have a face for radio.
Face for radio. That's it.
All righty. All right. So basically, it's a Salty Walt's Summer Antenna Challenge, and really oh gosh darn it, where'd I move my thing? So the objective is to engage ham radio community in a summer-long promotion, blah, 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 encourage amateur radio operators, yada, yada, yada. And really what we're doing is looking for people to build antennas based on designs inspired by Salty Walt's sketchbook or, other antennas that he has published. On his X channel, his Coastal Waves and Wires. And so the goal is that over the summer, and this is going to run basically till the last day of September 30th, is to build these. Do it like you are a designer. Take some creativity, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Document it. Pictures, do all the analytical stuff that you would do with that, and maybe even improve on it. Ideally, what we want to do is to make this a bi-directional thing. So it's not just you do it and submit it. If you're interested and you submit ones before the deadline, we'll have you come on. If you want to go ahead and come on and the live stream, if you're having issues with them and you want to come in and we can discuss it. We'll have Walt here. He can help out. Other guys here can help out with the design, and just throwing this out as an example is maybe the standing wave isn't what you would like it to be. So let's look at how we can maybe help get the standing wave down and give some ideas. So we're bi-directional feedback. So having people come on to do that is, I think it'll be something that's fun. So really this is promotions to inspire creativity, foster hands-on learning, and promote youth engagement in amateur radio. So some of the judging criteria that we're looking at, and roughly this is going to be 25%, is how closely do your antenna designs adhere to one of Walt's designs in his book or his YouTube channel. And I'm going to caveat that because there's a later part of it is also in that fidelity is how can you modify it or do something different, take pieces of it, of different antennas and try something new too. So there'll be some a category for that also. So considering the practical construction techniques, I feel like ape here and guys, I do apologize. I did not want to do slides, and I do feel like ape. I apologize.
You didn't say, okay, folks. You got to add that
Okay,
in.
folks.
Okay, folks.
Okay, folks.
And you haven't said toroid yet, so you're okay.
Yeah, toroid. Okay, folks.
We haven't gotten there yet. Hang tight, Vince. So performance of the antenna, demonstrate on-air performance, signal reports, QSLs, or QSLs made, SWR measurements. Do some practical modeling of your antenna in how you would do it otherwise. Nothing fancy, but could it be a series of taking standing wave readings over a spectrum of frequencies on different bands and stuff, not just one frequency or not just the middle, but maybe 5 or 6 points throughout each one of the bands, that type of thing, but do it in real world conditions also. So at Walt's favorite place at the beach, do it out at the park, in the field, on a POTA activation, a SOTA activation.
I will really be. Let me add why you said that, because one comment I get all the time is they only work because you're at the beach. Prove to the world that you don't have to be at the beach. If you build something like I won't pick one antenna, but any of the antennas in the book, especially the ones that I say are beach antennas, if you build them like way inland and you show me how you did it and make some context and show the world how good it is, I will make a point out of it to get you somewhere over on my channel to show everybody how well you've done as well. So yeah, please do that. I want the world to know that this book and everything, as much as I love operating on the beach and I'm all about saltwater propagation and all that stuff, this is an antenna challenge. You don't have to go to the beach. It's for everybody. Right?
But
back to you, Tim. Sorry to cut in.
Yeah, but if you want to go to the beach, go have fun.
Oh, if you wanted to go to the beach, that impresses me too. I mean, I see that too. But I don't. If you're if you're in Montana and you can't get to the beach, please. Oh, and there's another thing. Yeah, do something like take advantage of your situation. Maybe you've got a big open field with no noise around you or whatever, and you can do it. But show me some. I kind of like that idea too. Is show the. When you say adaptations, adapting to conditions and surroundings as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Creative use of low cost or recycled materials is another one. So, at the heart of this, right, your most basic antenna that you can make is a speaker wire dipole. Yeah, it's inexpensive wire that you can pick up at Dollar General or Amazon. It's a binding post, and away you go, right? So that would be the most simplest, and it just grows from there. Documentation quality, of course, clarity and competence of the material, inclusion of logs or summaries of QSOs made with the antenna. So just build something around it. You don't have to send them not the antenna in, but the documentation to go along with it, with photos and stuff like that. Maybe a video. Some people might be YouTubers doing this too. So submission category is basically youth builders. So we want to focus on a special category for youth. So for hams under 18, so we're not using the ARRL's definition of a youth at whatever it is up to now, 26, 27, 18 and under.
I mean, to be fair to the ARRL, I know plenty of I know plenty of 30-year-olds that don't have the mentality of a 5-year-old. So
that's true. That's true. I'm just saying that their youth category for contesting purposes, youth on the air, stuff like that. I think it's 24, 26 years old. We're going to stick with 18. But so for under 18, either independently or with adult mentorship. So, here's another opportunity where we can be Elmers and help people. But I'm going to tell you, do it. Don't be, and if any of you guys have been Cub Scout dads and Boy Scout dads, don't be the Pinewood Derby dad. You let the kid build it themselves. You always it's a funny side story at our troop, our pack. We actually had a category just for the dads, so they didn't have to compete underneath their kids' cars. So we had the dads category. So that's where all the high end, super, well-built cars came, but mentor them, help them out. Obviously the solo operator for anybody, any age. If you want to do this as a team, right? We have some husband-wife teams out there that operate together. You could submit an entry as an individual and also as a group. But, so we can do that, and then we'll have one specifically for low power QRP, and that could also be an entry as a youth too, or as a team. Just see how it goes, right?
Are you saying they're multipliers?
No multipliers. It would be individual entries. No multipliers. That gets crazy. Innovator's choice would be the other one. So if you've got one that you want to make that is different, a variation of something that is maybe that combination of a couple different antennas, have at it. Let's have fun. So,
are these going to be posted somewhere?
Yes, I have a website that I'm building. So it hasn't gotten in here, but essentially, at the end of the day, submission process is just submitting your entries to the Ham Radio Kids team. We'll get a website up where we can submit that and then post those things up there, and we'll probably do some honorable mentions for this based on maybe feedback from the community. So with that, photos, videos of antenna build and deployment, brief description of the design process, and logs and QSOs, standing wave. This is going to run, basically the deadline is going to be at 23:59 UTC on September 30th. So that gives us the entire summer for people to do this. And we'll do the final judging after the 30th and then announce the winners here.
Perfect. I'm excited about this. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. I am too. I'm very excited. If I can get that out of the way.
Now, what would really be cool if I was out portable and somebody was building one of these and they caught me and I caught them. I mean, that'll be your multiplier, man. You got a kid.
Ooh, you would think so, yeah.
Salty Walt contact.
You know what? I tell you what.
Bonus points.
Let's do that. Let's just add that in. We're going to do that. If you can document that you catch Salty Walt on the air with your antenna, then we'll give you a bonus point for that, maybe 2.
And a little hint on that, I have a Facebook page for Coastal Waves and Wire. It's not my personal page. A lot of times I'll post that I'm out portable. So if you're trying to hunt me down, you don't even have to like the page. Just go to the page and look through it if you want to check it. Then it's up to you.
You don't have to like me.
But yeah, a lot of times I'll go up and I'll just say, hey, I'm on 20 meters or whatever. I'll do that, or I'm calling CQ on 14. Whatever 14245 or whatever. I'll do that occasionally, and I'll make an effort as we get going here to do that a little bit more often. When I'm out, I mostly hunt DX, but I'll start making an effort to call CQ for a little bit if there's people out there that want to try to make a contact with me with the antenna. What you can do is if you go to that Facebook page, Coastal Waves and Wires, I think everybody has Facebook, and you can message me through that and go, hey, I've got the antenna or whatever. If you want to converse with me about what you're doing, that would probably be the easiest and best way. I get a ton of emails and I miss a lot of emails, but I usually don't miss the Facebook Messenger on that page. So that would be another cool way to do it.
Hey Frank, can you throw up Walt's Facebook page in his X?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, there's always Ham Alert.
That is true. That's a very good point.
Yeah, there you go.
Always Ham Alert.
Yeah, indeed. So this looks like a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good comments in the chat. The only thing a guy needs to build an antenna, Don says, is, I got to go back to the comments, scroll back up a bit, is Home Depot, Dollar General, and Harbor Freight, our ham operator supply house for
you left out Canadian Tire. You left out Canadian Tire.
The prices at Canadian Tire for wire and supplies, no, you don't want to go there. That's everything else is pretty reasonable, But Tim Hortons coffee cup can serve as an insulator in the meanwhile. Yeah, Princess Auto, the Canadian equivalent of Harbor Freight tools, for sure. Yeah, you bet.
I usually have a bunch of it laying around. I am a Walmart speaker wire fanatic. $16.99 US. It's in the back where all the stereos and TVs are. There's always monster wire, 16 gauge, 100 feet. That's 200 feet of wire. I love it.
The Restore has a better deal every time.
Hell yes. Habitat for Humanity Restore for sure.
Habitat for Humanity Restore.
And the occasional trip to the Goodwill.
Yeah, you go.
Now, wait a minute. I have a question about that monster wire. Well, when you use it as an antenna, is it true that the velocity factor is 1.3 instead of 0.8? That it actually, the signal moves faster than the speed of light?
No. You know what's funny? I get all kind of questions about everything you can imagine with the wire. I cut it. I cut it true to form and use it, and it works. You know what I mean? Look, everyone starts breaking out the calculators and they're talking about this, that, whatever. Look, put the damn thing up and use your SWR meter and trim 3/8 of an inch off of it and go. You know what I mean? It's quit with the overthinking. That's what drives me nuts. And the comments, a lot of times, I won't even answer them. I'm like, come on, guys. You know what I mean? It's like we're trying to be simple and simplistic and teach new hams how to build an antenna without going through, a differential equation that, that's going to rack someone's brain. Cut it to length. The book, cut it to length, and then check the SWR. If they want to use one, good for them.
Okay, can I use this type of wire? Can I use that type of? Yes. If it conducts electricity, you can use it as an antenna, people.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, Walt, you brought up a very good point right there. Keep it simple, right? KISS is a wonderful operating model. Make it as simple as possible, and don't overthink it. What we get people that will go out, right? It's one thing when you're at home, squeeze every bit of performance out of your station. When you're portable, go have fun. Good enough is good enough.
Tim,
you're going to waste more time sitting in the dirt trying to squeeze. And I don't remember. I think it was Frank that mentioned it last time that he was with somebody that spent 2 hours or whatever, some long period of time getting ready, and then he's finally happy, and then somebody else came in and took the frequency, so he had to start all over again, or move on, and then there went his perfect SWR. You're
if you got
Carlos?
You got 1.5 or better. Just run with it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You got 2 or better. Run with
You
it.
know,
Yeah,
I
1.2 or
think,
better, you're still good.
I think you're just. I think you're overlooking.
And you
an
know what I
important
do?
part
I
of- I think you're
yeah.
overlooking.
If I'm hovering around 1.5, I'm happy, and then I hit the ATU, and then now I got a good match, no matter what. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys, and you don't have to do that, but every little bit helps, especially when you're running low power. So. Yeah, I get a ton of emails, and a lot of my emails, I open them up and read them, and the first thing I think of is, tell me you're a sad ham without telling me you're a sad ham. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I'm done. You know, I just get frustrated with it. The whole
Had a
idea
whole
here,
video
really,
on that.
and it's what it's like Tim said, keep it simple, cut some wire, throw it in the air, let's have some fun. You know what I mean? It's like. Yeah, what is the Wayne Gretzky thing? Is you're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Get out there and start taking them shots as fast as you can. You know, when you're portable. I mean, being portable is kind of precious time. I mean, some of us only have an hour, half hour, 40 minutes, maybe 2-3 hours at a time. That little window of hour to 3 hours, whatever you're out there portable. If you're going to make some great contacts, you need to get going as quick as you can. You know what I mean? And what was that, Vince? I missed it. Yeah, there you go.
That's Canadian for no sad ham.
No sad ham.
Carlos, you were gonna say something.
What I was going to say is that, one thing we're, unfortunately overlooking with the statements we're making is that by necessity or by default, the overwhelming majority of the people that are in our hobby are, how to put this politely, anal retentive. So they're gonna chase. They're gonna chase that 1-to-1 perfect all the time. Meanwhile, some of us just go, you know what? That's good enough. Hit the ATU. Let's just get on the air because I have things to do, people to kill. You know what I mean?
I was camping once, and I know you'll find this hard to believe, but there was a little bit of alcohol involved because it was a hot afternoon.
I find that incredibly difficult.
I know,
to believe.
right? And
there
so
wasn't a little bit.
I brought, I was 3 beers in, trying to figure out how in the heck in a 60-foot campsite I was going to erect an antenna, a 60-foot long campsite that was going to work on 80 meters. So that's a 1/8 wavelength on 80 meters, if you stop and think about it, just about, right? So, but 60, not 66, 60 is what I had to work with. And I spent 2 or 3 beers, about 2 hours, working with the books and pulling out the calculator. And then I finally said, to hell with it. And no, my mast had to go at one end. It couldn't go in the middle because it was the mast I was working with at the time. And so I pulled out my 4-to-1 from my kit, and I pulled out a bunch of wire, and I strung out 60 feet of wire on the hot side, and I strung out 22 feet as a backstay on the bottom side. And I said, screw it. Let the tuner take it up. And the tuner did. And guess what? I was happy because I was on the air. And the lesson I learned was beer is good, but it doesn't make you think clearly. So just put up a wire and get on the air.
Right. That's you don't know how many times I've done that.
So speaking of just getting on the air, Carlos, there's an interesting question for you. James says, do you even check SWR when you jump?
As a matter of fact, I do. I was literally editing a video today. I made a jump on 6 meters a couple of weeks ago. I will leave the results of the jump to the published video, but I was at the beginning, I wasn't having any luck. And I literally had to look down and check SWR and hit the tune button just to make sure that I wasn't missing something because I had checked everything else. I do keep an eye on the meters while I'm jumping because, I have had it before. This happened a few years ago now. I had my trusty dusty Pactena Infant Halfwave for 20, and I was making contacts, but they were kind of weird because normally that antenna gets me great contacts, and they were really low in signal reports and not pileups like I'm used to. And I went to check the antenna, so I pulled it on the feed line, and the transformer just detached and went flying. I hadn't twisted the BNC fully, so it was floating there, and it was one of those things where when I checked, oopsie, somebody's combine has a Pac-10 in it now. And yes,
I'm starting to see a pattern with you, Carlos.
There is no pattern, sir. There is no pattern. The pattern is omnidirectional.
The pattern is
omnidirectional. I never said I was the sharpest tool in the shed.
Carlos,
See, like, I'm really thinking about, like, that comment I just got, I'm really thinking about buying myself a G90. I think that would be an awesome, like, another kit, like another radio add to my kit.
That'd be the smartest move you've ever made. I know I sound like I'm a broken record when it comes to that radio, but my God, that radio will that radio will let you build anything for an antenna.
And that's nice. That's the nice thing with Zygo. Their antennas, I think Bro Cam called it what he said. It'll tune a wet noodle, and he's absolutely right.
Yeah,
it will. So Dane, if you're interested, I'll swap you my X6100 for your KX2. Even trade.
No.
Even trade. I'm not even going to ask you for any extra money.
No.
Even trade.
I see something. No. Vince has something on the screen that is intriguing me.
What?
We have carabiners with some webbing that has been sewn up. Oh no, those are commercial products.
These are commercial products, yes.
What are we looking at here, Vince?
You're looking at a beaner with some webbing and a loop at the other end.
What did you call me?
Beaner.
What did you call me?
And these were designed by a couple who go hiking, and their baby's in the backpack and the papoose or whatever, and they were tired of the baby spitting out the soother.
Yeah, the binkies.
So
the binkies.
they tie a soother to this thing. Now,
Vince is showing
Homeboy ties a D75 onto this because if I drop it, I am going to cry.
Yeah,
Vince is showing his age. We call those pasties now.
You need to send us.
Vince is showing the Canadian hockey spirit because, like, right off the bat with the name, like my son played all the way up through junior A, and everybody gets named. Like if your name is Dean, you're Deaner, and he uses the Beaner. You know what I mean? I love that's such a Canadian thing. It's like your last name. It gets changed. Like my son was Huddy. You know what I mean? It's like, but I love the Beaner. From now on, carabiners are going to be called Beaners.
So I am going to find a URL for the Trail Tether product.
Thank you. That's what I was asking.
Because what kind of a show would it be if I didn't encourage you all to spend a bit of money?
Well, no, I mean that's a perfect solution for my problem. Right?
Yes.
I'm making my own tethers, and I don't have a really good way of doing it. And that's a perfect solution. Buy one of each for each pack, and it's just permanently attached to the pack, and then just clip to my rig, and I'm good to go.
Yep.
James has another name for it. It's called dummy cord.
It is. In the Army, we call it dummy cord. There, James says.
All right,
James
so
said exactly what I said.
Here we go. The link is in the chat.
There we go. I'm going to click on that right now. I'm going to buy half a dozen of them.
Yeah, they do. At least at the trade show I saw them at, it was buy 3 get 1 free. So, and so they sell. They don't sell. Yeah, indeed. You can buy a 5-pack or you can buy the 10-pack, but these are incredibly well built.
I mean, I could get on my sewing machine and actually build that, but that's going to take me more time than it's going to take me to click the link and hit the go button.
Yeah, and as a guy who's done some sewing for a living, this is incredibly well made.
So I got a thought for you here, Carlos. How often do you have to change out your parachutes? How long do they functionally last?
Oh, the parachutes themselves are good.
Or the rigging. The rigging or whatever.
The rigging is good for thousands of jumps.
Okay.
It's what it is that I can't have anything permanently attached to it because I'm not always doing parachute mobile, right? So that's why I use a carabiner to attach the radio pack to the rig now after Huntsville last year.
No, I'm thinking something different. Like,
what are we talking about?
When you have to retire a chute or retire a rig, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've got the webbing and you've got cord.
Oh yeah,
You can make those. You could recycle those into something like that, and then sell those as parachute Jesus dummy cords.
Well, unfortunately, with any luck, I will never see the total lifespan of my radio. If you maintain a parachute system well, a parachute system will last you several thousand jumps. Okay. A parachute needs a new set of lines every 600 jumps or so, depending on where you jump at. Sometimes, like if you jump in Arizona all the time, it needs a new set of lines every 300 jumpers or so. And if you jump in the Midwest like I do, you're looking at 600-700 jumps. But the parachute itself is still good for another, several hundreds, if not thousand jumps. And what I try to do is I try to cycle my gear on a regular basis so that I'm always flying relatively new stuff. So with any luck, I will never see the end of life of any one product I own. I'm fortunate to be partially sponsored in skydiving, and I'm able to buy what would be the equivalent of, let's say, $10,000 of skydiving gear for about $7,000.
That's cool.
Wow, you're in a hobby that's as expensive as ham radio. Another one, man. You got a double money drainer.
It is
Jeopardy.
People ask me, why don't you have this kind of a radio? Because I don't have that kind of money. I already spent it on parachute gear.
Cool.
So,
yeah, I looked into paragliding one time because I wanted to get into that. Whoo!
Yeah.
Salty.
That price tag got quick.
Saltier than Walt.
Yeah. Like the motor, just the motor, it didn't have a propeller on it at all, but it was like the harness, the backpack, and the motor. So it still needed a wing. I still needed a propeller, and just that alone was like $10,000.
Yeah.
Oh, it was rough, and I was like,
yeah,
that's not a hobby. I'm not. I can, but I won't.
I want to do that over winter, but can't justify the money. I just want to be in the air, right? And skydiving in the winter is in the Midwest is just not reasonable. Powered para is reasonable. You can actually do it and stay relatively warm and whatnot. And guess what? Parachute mobile from there. Yay, I can do that. But it's just too expensive. It's cheaper for me to just pack my stuff and drive to Florida and jump in Florida.
Hey, Carlos, have you been to one of those iFly facilities? You know what I'm talking about? Have you ever done that?
I've spent several hours in an iFly tunnel. They are not cheap, but they are absolutely worth every cent you pay, especially if you're training to get better at what you do. iFly on average is going to run you about $900 an hour.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And that's with
we have one here in Virginia Beach. So that's crazy.
Yeah, they do birthday parties and whatnot, and they'll cut the kids a deal and whatever. But for training, you're looking at roughly $900 an hour.
Wow.
Plus coaching.
And y'all are bitching at me about putting these straps up and the cost of that.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Well, dude, the bar stitch on that thing was immaculate, though.
Yeah, the bar tack on that was great.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And Paul is in the chat, and Paul will tell you that I think he did 10 minutes in the tunnel, and it was worth every cent he paid because it made his progression into the skydiving license that much easier. Paul, if you agree with that, comment, let us know in the comments, and hopefully one of these guys will highlight that. It's the tunnel is not cheap, but the tunnel is an absolute amazing tool.
Nice.
And
good
John,
to hear. That's cool. Something I've always considered doing.
You say you're in the wrong business. You are not in the wrong business. Look, the tunnel runs out of that 900. I would wager 800 of it is expenses.
Yeah, it's not a cheap thing to build.
It's not a cheap thing to build. The motors run a 480. They're constantly drawing current. It's not a cheap facility to run at all. See, Grouch says 1,000%. 10 minutes made a world of difference in his free fall progression. So if you're considering skydiving, a few minutes in the tunnel, absolutely worth it.
Oh, okay. So I've got a question then. So if you're terrified of falling, because fear of heights and fear of falling are two different fears, for those who don't realize
yes,
it.
they are.
So you'll never jump out of a perfectly serviceable aircraft. How long should one go into the tunnel for to get that experience? 4 or 5 minutes, I would think.
I mean, 2 minutes will get you there. I mean, the average person is going to buy 10 minutes in the tunnel. And I want to say 10 minutes in the tunnel is going to run you like $120, $200, something like that, depending on where you are.
All right.
And you're going to float. It feels like you're floating on air, and because you are.
Yep.
And they put you through progressing in the air, right? You're just going to, initially, you're just going to sit there and float. And they're going to give you some hand signals to get you to do stuff, but they're not going to advance you until you got the basics sorted out.
Yeah, sounds like my open water certification. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like an open water cert. It is quite the same thing. We're just going to baby step you up.
All right. Cool.
One of these times, I got to get down to you guys over at what is it? Chicago Skydive, right?
Yeah, Chicagoland Skydiving Center. Grouch says he paid $200 for 10 minutes of AFF instruction. I would, and that's less than one jump, but that's 10 minutes worth of jumping, which is 10 jumps. If you try to equate that into skydive time, that is 10 jumps for less than the cost of one jump. As a training tool, totally worth it.
What's that equate to in QSOs?
That depends.
And how many Bofings is that?
That's a lot of Bofings. That's what's that? 10 Bofings, because that's
okay.
$20 a Bofing.
$20,
and it depends on what we're talking about in terms of QSO, cost per QSO, because some of us have $1,000 radios, some of us have $500 radios, some of us $10,000 radios. It just depends on the cost per QSO.
All right, here's your trivia for the night. I did this. This is coming out on the upcoming version of Ham Radio Workbench. Have you ever wondered how words are pronounced? Some of us do, some of us don't. It's and we all say Baofeng. It's
Boofwang.
Well, I say it's potato fang personally. It's Baofeng.
Do you know what that means in Chinese?
I do not.
American sucker.
It means storm.
Storm.
Yes.
Interesting.
And then, ironically, it took America by storm.
Took the ham radio world by storm.
That's for sure.
People like to poo-poo on the Baofeng. I love the Baofeng. It's the gateway drug to ham radio. It's the easiest
work.
It's the easiest way to put someone on the amateur radio side, and it doesn't take long before they go buy an expensive radio once they experience it. So for $20, you're opening the door, and then they're gonna go, oh crap, I have to spend a lot of money now.
It's the cheap marijuana of ham radio lifestyle.
Exactly.
Well, I've always said that Baofeng's has single-handedly saved amateur radio, and from that standpoint, right, of your barrier to entry is very, very minimal. You're going to decide whether or not you want to make that investment to go further, or you'll be satisfied with it, or you'll decide that you don't want to become, invest further into the hobby, right? So it's a great.
That was my gateway.
And I think every one of us. That was my first radio too.
Same here.
Somebody was talking not too long ago. I think they've been around for quite a while now. What do you got, Frank?
$80 for a Baofeng.
Yeah.
One of them fancy ones.
But it's custom programmed
custom
and it ships from California.
No, there was that one that it was a package deal. You'd get like 2 Baofengs custom programmed and I can't remember the name of the company, but they were charging like $320 for 2 Baofengs that were just programmed.
Sad part was
like
they were selling them.
Yeah. And like the thing is like this kid jumped on the Discord and was talking, oh yeah, I got this really awesome radio and blah. I'm like, well, what would you? And like he like brought it up to us, like, this is what I got, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, how much did you spend? And he goes, "Oh, it was only like 300 and blah 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 dollars." Everybody sees a value in a product differently than someone else. Like I might see value in a product that Carlos doesn't or Tim doesn't. You know what I mean? Which, okay, I get that. But like those bell things are what, $25 on Amazon? If I remember,
on Black Friday, you can get them for under 20.
Yeah. So, but like you know what I mean, though. It was one of those things, and like we were talking to this kid about that. I'm like, and like I wasn't trying to poo-poo the purchase he made, but it was just like, bud, you literally just paid $320 for two $25 bell things, and someone to just go click because they made a CSV file or something of that sort that they can just literally upload right onto a radio.
Who needs a bow thing though? Who needs a bow thing when you could just talk around the world with a rapid radio?
Yeah, the cell phone radio. Oh yeah.
Well, there's that.
Oh my gosh.
Coming soon, Walt. Talk Pod.
Yeah.
Yep. Ironically enough.
That whole concept just drives me crazy when I see them talk about emergencies or whatever. I'm like, you do know that I have been in an emergency where we had no, like, the cell was down. You know what I mean? It's like, and then the other one is like, talk around the world. Okay, quit playing off a ham radio on this cell phone. I had an what were they called? Nextel. I had a Nextel back in like 2003, 2004 that had the two-way on it. That's all that is. They just took the dialing capabilities off and kept the 4G two-way on it. You know what I mean? That's all that is.
Yep. Yeah, the Talk Pod guys caught up with me at Dayton and were showing me their upcoming radio. I mean, I guess it's interesting if you're just using it to keep in touch.
Yeah, everything has its uses. It's not for MCOM. It's not for MCOM.
No,
but it does have a use. I mean,
and that's what unfortunately
casually around the globe.
Unfortunately, a lot of people
if you got an 18-year-old daughter that's going away to college and you want to like be able to bang the radio.
Wrong choice. Wrong choice.
That didn't come out right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right, a child.
We do.
Yeah, let me back off that. That didn't come out right. I totally didn't mean it to be.
All right, I'm out of here.
I think the authorities are at my door.
If you're trying to keep up with a family member 24/7 and not do it like you just, hey, I'm okay, or I'm on my way home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or whatever. Then it's a great thing, but it is not for MCOM. You know, definitely.
And I think
Freddie, you are the authority.
That's right. You're the sheriff of the ham radio kids table.
Yeah.
Master at arms.
That's what it is. Sergeant at arms.
From a retail perspective, they prey on the unknowledgeable.
Yes.
That's how a lot of companies
That's exactly what they're doing.
Get sales. Because there's people that go out there, they have zero clue of what they want to get. They know they want to get a radio, and they say, here's a radio that you could talk around the world and then all kinds of emergencies and everything. And they're like, oh wow, that's great. Here's my money. They don't know what they're buying.
Right.
They don't know that.
We already have one of those.
In sales, the expression is, where there's mystery, there's margin.
That's right.
Got it.
Or there's a
Dazzle
sucker
with
born every
brilliance,
day.
baffle them with BS.
Yeah.
And and so interesting, right? So after North Carolina and then stuff that happened in Appalachistan, people saw what it was truly like to be in a natural disaster, an extended natural disaster, and what that was like. So they ran out and they started looking at this, but honestly, a lot of people did it half-assed. They see these radios, they're like, oh, okay, this will work. Well, yeah, they work in a disaster too. Just happens that you're not in a disaster and the other party's not in a disaster, and there could be a disaster on the other side of the world. Yes, they'll work, right?
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily going to work for you, and that's kind of the downside to it is that that's how they're kind of rushing in, seeing something, grabbing it, taking it home, and then putting it in their bag and not even utilizing or working it right to get it out there.
There were two things in that disaster that everyone said we're done. We'll never, that they're worthless, should go away. And the two biggest players, the biggest forms of comms, the biggest forms of information that help people, whatever, were AM broadcast radio and CB radio. Those two things that help those people. You ask anybody there that's not a radio person that was involved with some form of comms outside the region, within the region, wanting to know what the hell was going on or whatever. There was a local AM station that stayed on through the whole thing with a generator and kept going and let people know what was going on. And then, truckers, every whether they use them anymore or not, most truckers, at least here in the States, have an 11-meter rig in their truck. If they don't, I say 11 meter CB or whatever, and that really was a great form of communications. That's why, and I get beat up every time I do a video on it, but I love 11 meters and I love AM broadcast radio. I think it's that disaster proved that they both need to be saved.
There you go. The trucker on stream has a radio in the truck.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, these kinds of technologies, at the end of the day, they are called lowest common denominator technologies because they are everywhere.
Yes.
And they are the cornerstone of any MCOM activity. You go to my website, you're going to see a page about MCOM. I led Canada's largest the response for Canada's largest natural disaster in 2013. We had 55 hams running around the clock for a multi-day period. And what were we using? FM voice and HF voice to pitch our signal where it needed to be pitched to help a whole pile of people out. It's just the way it is, right? Unless you equip people with fancier equipment and everybody has the same equipment, most everybody owns an FM 2-meter radio, and that becomes the lowest common denominator.
I have to laugh. I can't remember who the YouTuber was, but it's like about a couple years ago. When I was in Poland, I was watching an MCOM video, and this guy, he put a lot of effort into this video and a lot of sketching and talking or whatever, but he was explaining how when things go down, the grid goes down or whatever, base 1 would be able to send emails to base 2 and da-da-da. And I'm thinking, home slice, when you got a flash flood or you're gone 3 or 4 days, a hurricane just hit or whatever, you ain't worried about a damn email. You want to get your voice to it's like, but I watched, this guy was so serious and he was using, you could just tell he was that guy wearing, he had camo on and everything else. And the guy's probably, whatever. But I had to laugh watching this thing.
Yeah. Ham tuber with camo on.
Hey,
there's a whole bunch of them, man. There is a whole bunch of those guys.
I feel attacked.
Like, I'm wearing camo, so I'm official. So I can tell you how to do income.
Hey, Walt.
No, that's the guys with the yellow vest and the clipboards.
Exactly.
Yeah, those guys that have like the Skywarn stickers on the side of their car. Those guys are.
Okay, wait. There's another sign coming.
Oh boy. You know those guys that have the police-like badges that say amateur radio operator.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Oh, hold up.
Hang on.
No whacker.
No whacker.
No whacker zone.
No whackers.
Hey, I got a question for Walt. So, Walt, with this contest running now, what do you think the number one choice antenna is that people are going to build out of your book?
Way to bring it back around, by the way, Vince.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do I think? The antenna that I get the most feedback from people in comments, emails, comments, whatever, is the Coastal 20. I hear all the time about that, and I designed that antenna. That's totally my idea. But I think that's going to be one of them. I'm not encouraging people to build that one. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be real honest with you. It's not the best antenna in the book. If you're trying to go out and that antenna had a purpose. I was trying to work on the beach without a counterpoise system. and that's why I designed that antenna. It is a major compromise, but it works. But if you're trying to and I just did a video 3 or 4 videos ago from the beach, what I picked as the monster #1 best DX antenna. I'll see if anybody builds that one. To me, that is the antenna. If someone held a gun to my head and said you have to make the longest DX contact that you could possibly make, for me on the beach, what would it be? It would be a vertical half wave for 20 meters. Build it on a DX Commander Expedition pole is what I build it on. That would be the answer to that. But answering your question, Vince, I got a strong feeling a lot of people are going to be building the Coastal 20 because it's not a regular antenna. Like everyone knows, a quarter wave, the random lengths, all that stuff. That's a true design of mine. And like I said, it had a purpose. The purpose was go to the beach without a ground plane and use it. So.
All right. So for those of us,
that'll be the antenna people will do.
For those of us who don't know what this antenna is, describe it a little bit for us.
Okay, yep, I will. So the Coastal 20 is actually 20 and a half feet long, and it's kind of a vertical off-center fed. The upper driven element, I use a 4-to-1 on a 17 and a half feet, which is a random length that you can go from 20 meters to 10, just like a random wire.
Sure.
The lower element is 3 feet. So the 3 and the 17 and a half is 20 and a half. I call it the Coastal 20. The bottom is basically the counter. My idea was I needed to be able to go out on the beach like right now in the summertime when people were walking all around, and I could just get over here in my corner and I wouldn't have to lay out a ground plane or whatever for a vertical. And I could still get some, something happening because I was next to the water. I wouldn't get the ground plane like I normally do of laying down a ground plane in the soft, wet, sand and getting that amazing ground plane, but something that would work. And
is that the antenna?
So that's a vertical off center fed half wave dipole. That's actually a resonant antenna. The Coastal 20 is not. It is. Hang on, I got my book here. Let's see if you got the book. Anybody got the book? It is on page.
Everyone go grab their book right now.
That's right.
Page 66.
You know you're going to have homework assignments.
Page 66.
Turn
Page
to the hymnal in the back.
books.
My book's like 800 miles that way.
Let me pull it up here.
Well, the Coastal 20 is what I'm looking to build at some point in time. After
there it
is. At the Troll Club.
66. There we go, Tim. Let's highlight that.
Yeah, there it is. Coastal 20. I've actually done the modeling on it as well. This antenna, I'm going to be honest with you, it requires a tuner. You're going to need a tuner to do it. But if you can see it, no radial vertical antenna is what I call it. There you go. The overall length. And there you go. And it's like a thumbs down. The 6.248 meters. And then the bottom. Show me your sad hand. What else? Show me your sad hand. But anyway, and then the 3 feet. And I put mine up on a 10-meter pole with a 4-to-1 ballon. Or you can use the ballon. You can use it on our ballon. The ballon's a better option. It kind of makes it.
I have a design question for you, Tim. Just Walt. So the way I was going to build mine was to put the ballon obviously at the end point of the coax, and then I'm going to use the coax itself with some zip ties for the counterpoise. So I was going to run the coax, the counterpoise back along the length of the coax. That way I can trail the whole thing behind me. Do you think that'll work?
Yeah, if you go to page 40 in the book, you're building a very similar antenna. What you're building is let me get it up here on page 40. You're basically building the 17.5. So you take that same antenna, the Coastal 20, the driven element is 17 and a half feet. The 17.5 antenna is what I call this antenna the baby Ribikoff, because it's the same idea. 17.5 feet is the dimensions are 17.5, 20.5, 25 feet, and then as you go up, those random wire lengths that really aren't random. This is kind of the low end of that. It's a 17.5. What I would do is use the 4-to-1, make your 17.5 foot radiator, and then let the coax be the. You're up
So
in the
don't
air.
even worry
Probably
about a
right.
radius. So don't even worry about a counterpoise. Just use the coax as a counterpoise, like on
Yeah,
an end.
don't use a choke. Yeah, don't use a choke. Just use the counterpoise. And honestly, it's going to be a compromise. But for you, you're quick. Your quick time or whatever, it's going to be the easiest thing, and just let the 17.5 foot wire fly. Maybe I don't know where you're going to have the.
Let your wire wiggle in the wind.
Yeah, and just go. I think that's
It is not Kids Table After Dark, Carlos. Do not go there. But hey, let's talk about choking for just a second. So no, we don't want to choke at the feed point. We want to probably choke at the radio, though, right?
Yeah, for him, yeah. Now that's for the 17.5. I would choke it at the feed point, because you're going to put the 17.5 is going to use the ground as you're going to have a ground plane around it. You're going to have radials. The Coastal 20, I would choke it at the feed. You could choke it at the feed point as well, or you could try and not do it. The problem is, if you choke it at the radio, you're kind of taking that entire coax now. It's changing the whole, it's changing everything about the antenna. Think about what I thought about when I designed the Coastal 20 is the whole idea is it's an off-center fed, almost not really an off-center fed dipole. It's an off-center fed random wire, if that makes sense. Okay. So the short end is good, is countering back. If you know how the antenna energy works, it's putting that random length of 20.5 feet to work together as a random length, but also using the 17.5 as the upper driven element. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. I've gotten it to work pretty well. So choke, I know that as we were talking about APE earlier, ABC, always be choking. But you really changed the with or without a choke on any of these antennas, you kind of change the entire dynamic and the entire physics of the antenna. And that's a great learning point as well, is to try them both ways. I've got, I've done it that way. I know and they're in the book, a halfway vertical for 10 meters. I use a 64-to-1 on that. I put it up as high as I can on the pole. I don't use a choke, because I let all the coax coming down to where I'm at, which is usually sitting in my Jeep. I let that act as a counter. I've gone up. I'll tell you what's really crazy. I've gone up on the top of parking garages, and everyone knows all the rebar and the concrete on the top of a car parking garage. It's just like that's like the magic carpet itself.
That's free ground plane, man.
Yeah. So I would build a vertical antenna, and don't choke it. And I take 50 feet of coax, and I just wrap the coax all the way around me or all the way around the vehicle, and then bring it in and choke it at the radio. And that's I've got a perfect ground plane sitting up, way up high in the sky at the top of a parking garage, and done that way. So that's another. And this is what I'm trying to encourage. Everyone's going to tell you how it should be done, what you need to do. This work, that doesn't work, whatever. Get out there and see what works. That's what I like to do. I don't just take everything. I've got book after book after book of antenna design. I got antenna design. The Beam Handbook, Antenna Classics, basic antennas. I'll tell you something right now, and even more. I've got let's see here. Portable wire antennas, amateur radio HF antennas, William Orr's wire antennas, all about vertical antennas. There's so much that's written, and I gotta tell you what, I have found that there's some really great text out there and some great stuff written, but if you just read the book and thought you were an expert, that book, nothing, it's not an exact science. Every antenna is a different situation, and everywhere in the world where you put that antenna up, that antenna is going to operate different. And that's what it's really all about. Is that's kind of what I really want to see happen with this contest is get out there. And like I said earlier, the Coastal 20, let's see how the Coastal 20 operates at the top of the Rocky Mountains or wherever you're at, you know what I mean? And do something different. and just see how that adapts to your environment or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of my whole shtick is, and I get so mad when you get all these. I've been a ham for 50 years. This is how you do it. Yeah, that's great. You're an Elmer and you're helping and teaching people. But you know what? Let the person go out and make the mistakes and learn. Or, I learn from mistakes. I learn the hard way. It's the best way to learn, because I know for all the success you've seen on my YouTube channel, there's just as much failure. Sometimes I show the failure, but I go out and do it. I mean, one time, way back when I was an early ham, the MFJ, there's been a couple videos on it. I think K-Murder did one on it where it's the tuner for the loop tuner from MFJ, the QRP loop tuner. I was in a hotel room, with wire taped to the glass sliding door, trying to make it work or whatever. And it was horrible. But I'm glad I did it. You know what I mean? Way back when, and that's how I learned. I kept making mistakes until I got it figured out. So that is really the heart and soul of what this contest is all about, as far as I'm concerned. Let's get out there and experiment.
Isn't that what the hobby's supposed to be about, anyways?
It's supposed to be. I mean, I tell you, I had about 2 weeks ago, I got an email from a guy that said he'd been a ham for like 48 years. And he also told me he was a contester, and he goes out and builds vertical antennas contesting, and he's won. He gave me a list of all the contest rankings and everything he won or whatever. His email was a book, and he kept going. And then he started showing me diagrams of everything, that telling me that I was completely wrong about salt water. He goes, salt water doesn't help the signal. It's the first hop and skip off of the antenna, but what you're doing, like putting your wire in the water or whatever. And I was nice. I said, listen, I'm not. I sent him back the FCC's ground conductivity map with it, and then I zoomed in and sent him another picture in the corner where it says, Earth ranges from 2 micro Siemens to 15 or 20, and then it goes, but salt water has been known to be 5,000 plus microsiemens, for ground conductivity. So I said, listen, I'm not putting wires in the water. I'm trying to keep them on the top of the water and on the surface that's at the water. I say, that's why I use a pool noodle when I go here in the harbor where I'm at. It's like, it's that surface. It's like, here's the map or whatever. And then he came back with more. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, it's funny because I've got about 300 videos where I've gone out and operated on the beach. And I tell you what, the video I put up today, it was I filmed yesterday morning. I went out on the beach. 20 meters was completely dead. I have a friend, VK4 BOB, he was on the beach in Australia. We had arranged it. The Southern Cross net. Jack was there. Jack got it going. Anybody there? Anybody there? Anybody there? Finally, Bob comes on, VK4 BOB, da da da. Hey, I'm looking for K4OGO. I hit him. He hits me back. We're both like 5'8" to each other. I did take a 100-watt radio out there. And then we talked for a little bit. Bob in Australia leaves and goes down to 14207 to stand. I don't know if you guys know Kilo Echo 3 Echo Echo. He's down on Pensacola, Florida. He has like 3 stacked Yagis and like 1,500 watts, and he runs a DX net, and he just talks around the world. I mean, he literally talks about how he hears himself echo when he comes all the way around. So Stan he's beamed to Australia. Bob checks in, and then Stan goes north with his antenna over the North Pole. I can't hear Stan no more now. I'm north of him in Virginia. I can't hear him. He's talking to Bob, and who's also on the beach, just like me, with a vertical, like right at the edge of the water. He's talking to him, and I can hear him. All of a sudden, Stan can't hear Bob anymore, if this makes sense, with his beams and his 1.5 kilowatt and everything else. The 2 guys that were 5 meters away from salt water were both still strong signals, and it got to the point with Stan's DX net that I was relaying. I'm on the beach relaying to the VK back and forth, and he's there with 1.5 kilowatts and beams and everything, trying to get to there. So I think I have experimented quite enough on saltwater for, when I get these emails like this from people that are, that and they'll even throw equations at you and everything else. I'm like, look, dude, if I listened to this, I wouldn't be out here doing what I'm doing. So I know that was long-winded, but what I'm trying to tell people, if you're building, if you're experimenting, if you're a ham, there's a lot of great information, like the books I was showing you, whatever. Study, read it. Yeah. There's some great Elmers out there. I mean, there's some right here. I mean, Vince, man, when Vince speaks, I listen. There's a lot of good knowledge there, but don't take everything like it is the gospel. Get out there and try it. Do something. If you got an idea, go out and do it. There would be no Coastal 20 if that idea didn't pop up in my head and that the antenna worked. So
there'd be no experimentation if people took everything that was known or what they believe is to be like the law, or that's the way it is. And that's how everything got developed, because someone played around with electricity and sending signals over a wire.
I thought it was to get electrocuted.
Yeah. So Mike posted this a little bit ago when Walt was speaking about the guy putting his credentials in there, right? I love it when they get a resume, or they give their resume, adds so much credibility. If we have that in my industry,
leg.
When somebody has to float their bona fides, whatever, dude, I ain't got time to listen to you. Those are people who love to hear themselves talk. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people in this hobby. We have a lot of people who don't know diddly squat, and they repeat everything they hear as if it is fact. We're an experimenter's hobby. The whole point of this is to test, right? If you've got an idea, right, you have a theory, create your hypothesis and go test it. If Walt tells you this is the way it is, Walt's a nice guy. I'm going to take everything he tells me with a high, a level of credibility. But if I think it's not right, or if I think it's odd, go test
Trust,
it.
but verify.
I was going to say the Reagan doctrine.
No, it's excellent. It's excellent. I look at my old videos. I can go back to a video from 3 or 4 years ago and look at me on the beach, and I've got all these radials out and everything or whatever, because I was taught that, right? And now I can go out with a single 2 or 3 radials, and there's really not a lot difference because of where I'm at. Now, if I was, like I said, if I was way inland, I'd try to put 4, 8, 16 is what I could get down to get a better, a better oomph underneath it for a ground plane. So, but like you said, I may, a year from now, what I'm spewing on my channel now, I may learn more and go, don't listen to a year ago me, whatever. We're all learning.
Don't listen. Well, here, I got a real good thought. I got a thought exercise that we can do real quick. I just popped in my mind. Real quick, let's go around the table. Frank, what is one thing that somebody has told you in your time when you were a new amateur radio operator that you have found out to be hooey?
That's a good one.
If I tell you what, Carlos, if you want to think about that while you're thinking, Carlos,
I'll tell you right now. NFET half waves are omnidirectional. Is 100% baloney. NFET half waves are omnidirectional. Is 100 absolutely % baloney. And I can tell you because I've flown NFET half waves. And if I'm facing east and west, I might be hearing you in a 5.9. And if I navigate north to put myself in the position I need to be in to land where I need to land, you disappear. And it's an NFET half wave, which is supposed to be omnidirectional, which is absolutely not true. Does it behave that way some of the time? I'm sure it does. But in the air, I guarantee you, I have proof of it. They are not omnidirectional.
Your use case is unique at 5,000 feet of altitude. Most of us don't have a mast that big to test this.
Well, listen, Vince, I thought we said this is going to be, kids friendly.
All right. Hey, dude, you started.
Hold on now. Hey. All right, Dane. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You ready? You ready, Frank?
You must always
Okay.
be 1.0 to 1 on your SWR, or you're going to ruin the radio.
Yep.
Because at 10 meters, my antenna, no matter which one I've had, will not get down to 1.1. And I've always been like this. I'm not gonna fiddle around with it like the old fogey I know here locally. That with his buddy sticks, he has to have exactly 1.0 to 1, otherwise he can't use it. No. Your 710, your IC 7300, your 7610, they're going to be fine with anything less than 2 to 1, and even 3 to 1 possibly. But, that's what the internal tuner, and, if you have an LDG or whatever, that's the external tuner's for. But yeah, the you must have 1.0 to 1. Absolutely. No.
How about you, Walt? What is something over your course of being a ham radio operator that somebody told you in the beginning that you have just found out to be hooey?
The old, you got to use a resident antenna. You know what I mean? That's number one. And that, to me, I've heard that so many times, yet I've worked the world with, using a tuner or punching an ATU button with a random piece of wire. That works. I'll tell you what, my entire channel was started because of a advice that was given to me before I even was on YouTube. I used to, my sketches, when I sketch stuff up, I was getting ready to leave to go to Kauai, and it was on a Facebook group, the antenna back then, Facebook group. Boy, if I learned my lesson, is stay away from Facebook questioning. But I literally sketched a vertical, and I put it on there, the sketch, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm getting ready to go to Kauai. I don't have a lot of space or what I can do. I'm taking my 5-watt Zygo X5 105 with me. I'm going to put a vertical up, and then I'm going to work QRP from Kauai." And you want to talk about opening up the floodgates of like sad hamism, whatever. The biggest one was you should be building a dipole. It's the only thing that's going to work QRP. You need a resonant dipole. And I had already known, like, listen, you dumb, dumb butt,
dumb
whatever.
Ham.
Yeah, dumb ham. I'm going to be sitting on the beach in Kauai, and I'm going to build a vertical, right? And then that was the one thing. And the other one was like, and now this is got to realize we weren't in solar. This was like 4 years ago. We were, just coming up on the solar cycle. Yeah. And someone said, 5 watts all the way out in Kauai. You're on the, the farthest island out in the Hawaiians. You're going to like make no contacts. So I said, you know what? I got you. I'm going to video it. I'm going to go build this vertical. And what I ended up building was the QRP guy's tribander, and I put it, and I got a fishing pole while I was over there and stuck it up and put the wire up and built it. And I was like, I'm calling CQ now. I mean, this is like unheard of, QRP 5 watts on the island. Call CQ, and I get some guy on the big island right away. Bam. And he's like, "You're 5'9", 10 over, you're blowing me away." And I'm like, and then people think, okay, yeah, it was Hawaii, but you know how far it is from Kauai all the way down to the big island? It was like, I think I looked at it, it was like
159 miles.
It was a good little clip, So then I was like, I think it's farther than that. It's a long ways. But so then I started hunting, and I heard a ZL. And I called, and I called, and he came back to me. I go, "Hey, yeah, I'm 5 watts QRP on the beach in Kauai." He goes, "Yeah, right." I go, "No, seriously, I'm 5 watts QRP." He goes, "Wow." He goes, "You're 5'9" right here into New Zealand." That's another thing. Kauai to New Zealand is a long ways, And I'm like, okay, great. So the very first video, the first Coastal Waves and Wires video, was that one. I made that video not to really start a channel. I just wanted to document it, and then when I got home, I was going to get on the Facebook group and go, "Nanny, nanny, boo, boo." You know what I mean? And you're all wrong. And I proved you wrong. Well, after that, I like this, and it just snowballed, and that's how my channel got started. It got started by me not listening to the knuckleheads or the sad hams that know everything, that told me I should have been building a dipole, a horizontal dipole next to saltwater. Wrong, you know what I mean? That and I was all wrong there, and also wrong. You're not going out on a beach. You're not going to get the benefit, and you're not going to make any contacts with 5 watts. I mean, hey, I don't know if anybody watched my video like 3 videos ago, but I made a 5 watt X6200. I made a couple of them right around the VK from Virginia. So are we talking about 10,000 miles at 5 watts? And I made a 80 meter 5 watt QRP SSB contact last week, sitting on the beach. You know, he was in Western North Carolina, but like the vertical over the salt water is the magic. You know what I mean? That I've been trying to like preach on my channel from day one, but. There would be no coastal waves and wires, and there would be no me like really like going down the deepest rabbit hole I can, trying to find out everything I can about salt water and propagation. None of this would have happened if I just listened to that guy, that guy that had 50 years of being a ham, and said, "Okay, since you've been a ham for 50 years, I believe you," and this wouldn't have happened.
So I'm going to preface this. Normally, I would not say use Mike. KMRD Mike as a role model, but according to Don Izzo, he loaded up road guardrail one time because Mike did it, and I'll allow that. I'll say that's a good thing. I mean that's one of those, Mike, that video that Mike did where he went around and started loading up random things to see what would radiate. That is a great video and a great.
I got to interject for a minute. Mike is a role model. He should come on one of these nights, by the way. He is a role model, and
he's
you should always do what he does.
I'll tell you something about Mike, and Mike will always have a dear place in my heart. When I started my channel, I was just a few weeks in. I really hadn't done a whole lot, and was just my videos were getting 25 to 50 views each or whatever. All of a sudden, I get subscribed by KMRD ham radio stuff. And then he comments and goes, "Dude, you're good. Keep doing this." And that was like, I mean, I got like chill bumps. I'm like, oh my God, this at the time he was like probably where I am now. He was like 30,000 subscribers. And I was like, Mike, I was like, damn right, that was cool. You know what I mean? So that I'll always be there. You go. You want to talk about someone, even in the YouTube community. Mike KMRD was like encouraging, and that's kind of what we all need to be. He was encouraging me to be a YouTuber as well. But so listen to guys like that, and don't listen to the I've been a ham for 50-year resume guys, you know.
Freddie Mac, what is something that somebody told you that was complete hooey?
Somebody told me early on when I was starting to dabble in HF early in my amateur radio career that in-fed have waves were a farce, and that I should use the G5 RV antenna only. And which I did. I took their advice. I had a G5. I bought a G5 RV. It's like what do they call that? A doublet type of an antenna. Strung it up in the backyard without my wife's knowledge, and made a contact in the suburbs of Chicago. So. You know, I'm like, hey, maybe they're onto something. So I never even looked in that direction until many years later. And I love my in-fed half-wave. I have several. But yeah, it was just a ham. It was, I'm going to say it, somebody I know, but they are a sad ham, or were, I assume they still are. Just it's their old way, and that's all they wanted to propagate to new hams. Yeah. And that's exactly what it was.
Right. Oh. You're in a no sad ham zone. Vince is like our, you know, like on some of the shows where you get the interpretive sign language people. Vince is literally our interpretive sign language person.
Nothing against the G5 RV, though.
How about you?
I just want to say nothing against that.
No,
not the only way.
And there's always
right.
Something.
As a friend of mine says,
to try.
A G5 RV is not an antenna; it's a bloody call sign.
You want to know what though?
like
Here's the
that.
good thing. I've used the G5RV. I've used every damn antenna that I could find that's out there like that. And there you go. Get it back to it. Instead of listening to him and doing what you want to do, try it.
Yes.
You know, try it. Try it.
And that's where that was my mistake. And I encourage you to do your thing. Do you.
I don't want to pat my own back or toot my own horn, but Brocam says everybody in this space is so encouraging. I thank Gray Man Poda for encouraging me to apply for a media pass for Hamvention this year. It made a unforgettable experience.
It's
fun. It is absolutely fun.
Yeah, Hamvention is awesome. I can't wait for next year. I can't wait for Huntsville, man. I'm so excited. It's like,
well, Tim.
Nate says Frank needs a smaller windscreen for his.
Hey Tim, so what's something that somebody told you that turned out to be total hooey?
Hold on, before Tim goes, for those in the chat, who have I been mimicking all night here? If you know, you know.
If you know,
don't
you know.
care. Don't care.
Frank is going to type it in the chat. Tim, what's something somebody told you that turns out to be total hooey? Dane, put the chicken away.
God, I'm lost now.
Well, while you think about it.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. While
I was going to say the G5RV thing also. I've heard a lot of people saying, that's the only antenna you need.
Yeah.
Blow it out your rear end. Also, the fact that the Windows application, ADIF Master, will fix every logging problem you have on the POTA website. No matter what it is, it will fix it.
Wow.
Yeah. Go chew on those bites for me, huh?
Mike.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey.
I pulled off the road at a very special stop. I did this just for you, Walt.
Thank you.
Because I don't know that anyone has ever live streamed from here. So I was down in Canandaigua presenting to an amateur radio club, and just wrapped up. So I am at an FCC monitoring station down in Canandaigua. Well, I showed you the photos, so you've seen the satellite images of the elephant cage antenna and stuff. So I am live streaming. I don't know if you'll see the warning signs. I get out of the car.
This is awesome.
We're gonna have like the FCC cops show up on us, right?
This looks like an episode of like.
He's gonna bump into my friend Louis Ringway out there filming a video at the same time about elephant.
Ringway.
What's that? It's not cops, but the good show that they actually canceled.
I think we need to highlight this video, Tim.
That's so cool.
It's hang on a second. Oh, well, I don't know. Are we going
to? No, we're on this side of the sign.
Yeah, I'm on the other side.
Okay.
FBI, open up!
And Vince is,
I got one.
Crap out me, boy.
And Vince is like, I'm Canadian, so.
Hey, Mike, what does the reverse side of that sign look like? Out of curiosity.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not going to find out. Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Live PD. That's
road,
what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
All right.
No, it's pretty cool. Like you can actually see, as I've shown Walt, like you see the elephant cage antenna that they have there for monitoring and everything. It's pretty cool. I don't know if it's in use now or not or whatever. It doesn't look like they did a good job mowing, but it is what it is.
I think they have the discontinued using them all.
Yeah.
There's one just a little south of me here on the North Carolina border, Virginia-North Carolina border, that the Navy had there and they used. And I know it's like, I think it's gone, but from the sky you can see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was a radio monitor. Well, I mean, it was a monitoring station, but not for not for compliance.
So there you go. This is special for Ham Radio Kids Table. The first live stream from FCC monitoring post.
Our man on the scene.
Yeah, you don't get this kind of entertainment on Coffee and Ham radios or Clubhouse at that.
And well, now
those guys aren't.
Mike has built the Coastal 20. Mike, what's your opinion of the Coastal 20? Inland.
it worked fine. Like I brought it to lake water, to fresh water to use it, and it worked just fine there. I've used it a couple times. It's it's convenient. It's nice doing portable stuff like I do, to have multi-band antennas where you're going to need a tuner. It's like everything's a compromise though, right? But to have the ability, especially in the winter, I don't want to have to get out of the car and adjust a whip or anything. I just push a button, change bands easily. It's a nice option to have, and so it worked fine for me the couple times I've used it. And I think it was you and I were. Yeah, the original. As I was developing that thing, was going with the 9-to-1, and you and I both. I mean, there you go. We talked about people like giving me advice. Mike was one of the ones going, well, I think a 4-to-1's better, and he was right. I mean, we kind of went down that road as well, and it tuned better. I got lower, SWR, all that good stuff. So, yeah, there you go. So, it's good stuff there. But we were asking earlier what I thought the antenna most people will try to build. And I said it's not the best antenna at all, but that one might be one people will I get all the time. I get so many comments. I'm building a Coastal 20. I'm building the Coastal 20. Go build the halfway vertical. It's like.
So, Mike, have you been listening, or did you just get?
No, I've only been listening for like the 5 to 10 minutes it took me to drive here from the club meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
So the question we're going around the horn on is what is something that you were told when you first started in amateur radio, about amateur radio, that you now know is who?
Oh, I still see people posting all the time on the POTA Facebook group. Oh no, you can't activate on 2 meters or whatever, and it's just like you can get out there. I know people have gone out with, or techs have gone out with Baofangs and managed to get 10 contacts in the log and stuff, because they're going out in an area that is got a good ham density, where there's enough people out there listening. They're sharing where they're going to be. They're going to a place with high elevation and whatnot. When people say like, and I still hear it today, like, oh, you can't go out and activate on this. I've done it so many times. Come on now,
Read the rules,
I get that you can't do it everywhere, and you can't do all the things, all the places. I'm lucky where I'm in an active area, and I've got places that I can go where I can get decent elevation and get up 1,500, 2,000 feet relatively easy, and take advantage of some of that stuff. And so, I can, but, it's one of the things I see often. And, and I've proven it wrong umpteen times.
Yeah, you have.
Got the ham density where you're at. That's
ham density.
Me, but I like
well, and that's the
ham
truth,
density.
The club meeting I was at, a couple of people were joking around about field day, and somebody was like, yeah, I got the one guy that was in Wyoming out on field day, and you get out to places, and some places they're not going to have POTA parks like we have here, where I can drive just a mile down the road and be at a POTA park. You don't have that everywhere. It's the same thing with, you might not have clubs nearby you, or clubs that you connect with nearby you. It is what it is. Every region's different, and every ham's different, and we adapt.
Hey, I actually made contacts with 3 different hams in Wyoming on the same POTA activation from Delaware.
Nice.
They weren't all together either.
So wait a minute, there were 3 hams that had come together
in
Wyoming.
They didn't come together. They were
3 individual hams,
3 in different parts of the state,
at 3 different parks.
I don't remember there all of parks. Them? I don't remember there were parks, but they were hunting me.
They were hunting you, yeah.
And I had 3 one day from Wyoming, which blew my mind.
You know what though? That's I'm not surprised at all. If you remember when Paul and Eric, N1JUR, and Paul, OG, the Grouch Paul, and I were out on Cape Cod, and we activated. The running joke. We were all sitting there at a table, just cracking up and laughing, because we were calling CQ POTA, and it was like call after call after call was North Carolina. We joked in the video. I even joked on the video, and the guy, I go, "Are you in North Carolina?" And he goes, "Yeah." And we all started busting out laughing. It was a 4 call, whatever. But as you're seeing Wyoming, that just shows you where you're landing as skip wise. You know what I mean? Like you're obviously your antenna set up, everything, the conditions for that day. You were just dropping right down into Wyoming. And splashing into Wyoming perfectly, and that's why you were picking up all those guys.
I see that a lot with different states. I'll go out to different activations. I'll get like a whole bunch of people from North Carolina, or at least from North Carolina and below, or I'll get them all the way into Texas or the Midwest.
It's almost the same way with.
I always find
it's almost the same way with like even up in the VHF with like sporadic E and Tropo. I know here it never fails all the time in the middle of the summer. I can on FM broadcast radio. I for some reason get Minnesota here when it when the sporadic E comes in and bangs in. I don't know why it's Minnesota, but I guess it's just the perfect ducting of sporadic E and then down. You know what I mean? Down on FM. It's the same way with an HF. Skip. It's just like when the atmosphere, the ionosphere is where it is, and you're banging and coming down, and you're just like you said, you're going right over me. I never hear Delaware. Delaware is one of the hardest things for me because you're so close. But
you got to catch people like 40 meters. Like 40 meters, I get a lot of like the states around me, like the 10 states or so around me, a lot.
Yeah. But like I said, not to get too much off topic, but there's a lesson you learn by operating. You know what I mean? There's a lesson you pick up on when you said you got 3 guys in Wyoming, and then you kind of look into why did that happen? Well, that's because and then they were a perfect spot for where you were skipping to, and not in the skip zone underneath it where they weren't hearing you.
Yep, and, I always say that whenever anyone makes contacts, it's always a matter of. Part of the equation is also a matter of timing. Is that other person that you're going to make contact with? Are they actually on the air? Do they even know you're on the air? Do they even are on the same band kind of thing? Like it took me a long time to get a contact in Australia, but it was just a matter of timing, and eventually you just kind of clicked, and there you go. It happened. I was at the right spot. I was using the right frequency at the right time of day, at the right time of year, and so was someone else in Australia. They were able to hear me and made a contact, and that's another thing I think crazy about amateur radio, just like the timing, because people always complain, "Oh, I can't get this day or I can't get this day." Well, if you want Hawaii, you gotta be up freaking late at night on the air looking for it. Kind of thing.
Like you just said, if you want to get on 20 meters and make a contact to Australia, I do it all the time. You need to get up early in the morning, and you need to make that contact right around 11 UTC. You know what I mean? That's from the East Coast. Now, if you're somewhere else, it's a different story. But for me, and that's learning your environment as well. That's another part of an HF guy.
Rolling that gray line there.
What time did you say UTC, Walt?
Yep.
What time were you saying?
11 UTC on the East Coast.
Yeah, because anytime I've worked that I've gotten hunted by Australian stations for POTA has been when I'm out for like an early shift at like 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'd go out as soon as I think it was my oldest son to get on the bus at like 7:05 or something. And as soon as he's on the bus, I'd be out at the park, and that's when I'd get right on 20 meters with a quarter wave, no problem.
What's funny when you go when 10's open, it's the other way around. 10's open, you want to be up, late afternoon, and you're talking to VK Australia on 10 meters, just the other way around, and that's something else you learn. Bands and how bands, the characteristic of a band and how they all work.
Yeah. Hey, so Vince, what's something that you were told when you first got into amateur radio that you have now discovered to be hooey or hogwash?
Any old piece of coax will do.
Yes, sir. I remember that one.
Just buy the cheapest stuff you can find. Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, what you haven't heard about is this thing called return loss. Have you ever wondered why when you hook up, when you tune your antenna, you tune it at the feed point? That's because you don't want the coax in circuit. Okay, so now you got your antenna up in the air, your dipole, whatever. And you hook up, I don't know, 75 feet of that very famous cable sold by Amazon or whatever that you paid, $42 for, and you said, yeah, I saved money because I spent it on copper on the antenna. And you look at your SWR and you go, gee, it's 1-to-1 from DC to light, or it's pretty low SWR. Well, yeah, that's called coax loss. It's getting in the way. And if you just replace that with some good high quality coax, you would actually see what your total circuit is for SWR. So kids, don't use cheap ass coax. Thank you for coming to my TED
But it's so
Talk.
much cheaper to buy 100 feet of RG174 than it is to buy a tuner.
The cheaper the better in this hobby, right? Right.
There are cases there are cases for cheap coax, but this is not one of them.
Yep.
Vince, that's funny because I was going to say, I learned that you don't have to buy the expensive coax. You could get away with the cheap coax and do just as good, because my cheap coax has gotten me all over the world.
And so there is an argument for that, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think maybe so two things can be completely opposite and also true at the same time. So once again, bringing that back to this is a hobby of experimentation. Try it. See what you get. See what kind of results that you get. Because in your particular case, it might be different than in my case or in Vince's case.
Yeah, if you want power to get to the antenna, buy the good coax.
So hey, Dane, what's something you're newer? What in the couple of years that you've been doing this now? What is something that somebody told you that you now know is hooey, other than you should swap me that X6100?
That's not happening, my friend.
K2, because you're
That's complete hooey.
Because you're getting a good deal.
So does something.
You're getting a good deal.
See, that is complete hooey. But the best one that I got, it was that you cannot run the feed point of your antenna at the ground. That's what I got. I got told that that end of the antenna has to be up, and it's the only way that you're able to run an NFET. And it's a whole story of like what happened. I've told it on here before about the guy walking up to me and telling me that my setup's just not going to work. That's part of that whole story there. And it's just, and I'm in the middle of actually making contacts with it set up the way it's set up, and the guy is sitting there telling me that it's not going to work. And like I'm running FT8 right in front of him. It was just a whole bunch of nonsense, man. But that was the biggest complete hooey that I think I've heard so far. I've heard quite a bit, but that one still takes the cake for me.
Mike, you were snickering on that.
Well, yeah,
one.
and it's not so much.
You got some commentary?
The video I just put out yesterday on Tuesday, I strung a 60 meter and fed halfway from my deck to my fence. The thing was 3-4 feet off the ground. 10 watts called into of all things, I build the antenna, I turned it to 60 meters. There was actually a net on 60. There were actually people on 60. So I called in, and when these guys heard what I was doing, I mean, it blew their mind. They were like, wait, your antenna is 3-4 feet around. And I love doing stuff like that. Is it the most efficient way? No, not necessarily. But when you're on those lower bands, you're going to have, a lot of things are going to be invis to begin with, because how many of us can get 80 meter dipole or NFED, 130 feet off the ground on 3 points? You can't. It's a lot of the time, those bands are going to be invis anyway. It's just a matter of how much loss am I incurring by having the antenna close to the ground, how much of that energy, that RF, is the ground eating up. But if you get a couple feet off, it's fine. And again, like I said, those guys, it just blew their minds. But it worked just fine. And looking forward to experimenting some more with that.
You know what? I
awesome.
Mike showed me that video before he posted it. I kind of want to go out and do the same thing. I want to put like a long, like a end-fed half wave of some sorts, and I want to put it 3 feet above the salt water and see it. It's just like Envis. I'm going to Envis up like crazy. You know what I mean? Like I was impressed of what was going on with the ground, but being that low to the ground, I was crazy. But you know what, Mike, too, when you could hear it, you had really good receive. That was another thing that was, you know, that you would think would be the characteristic of a wire that low to the ground. But well, that was a cool video.
Yeah. And you've played on 60 a little bit, and you get to 60 and especially 80. Those bands get really susceptible to atmospheric noise, and one of the guys that was net control during that. I mean, they're getting. I got lightning as I was taking down the antenna. We were getting storms, and those bands are really susceptible to that. But having it low, it wasn't that bad on my end at all.
I love 60 meters. That's a cool band. Unfortunately, SSB, you got 5 channels. That's it's fun. The reason I like 60 so much is because when you come across a group of guys on 60, they always seem to be really cool people. I mean, I don't know what it is about that band when guys know that we've got these 5 frequencies that we can use or whatever. Unlike 80, sometimes I have heard people on 80 and they go to try to check in, and I know damn well they can hear me, and they're like, did you guys hear something? Did you hear? Yeah, like some, whatever. You know how people can be on 80, but I've run some great guys on 60 meters.
Yeah.
It's like those ass hats on 40 meter AM that don't want to talk to you unless you've got a Collins or something like that.
Or that you're on there
I had a really great up to Baltimore when I was camping last month. I had an end-fed half wave up in the trees above my camper. I wasn't filming. I was just having fun. And I had one of the best AM contacts I've ever made to a guy up in Baltimore. And he was at one end of the Chesapeake Bay and I was at the other. But we were like just 5'9", 10 plus on over. But he was calling CQ and he was calling. I liked what he did. I don't do a lot of AM. I haven't done a lot of AM, but he was going CQ, CQ, CQ. It gave his call sign, and then he went like 7.175 AM. So AM. He was doing that in his CQ call because I could hear him. And I'm trying to tune him in on sideband, and it was really cool. That's a learning curve for someone if you ever want to call CQ AM. He was saying AM at the end of the call with the frequency, and then I flipped it to AM, and I was like, oh wow, there you go. It was perfect.
Yeah, I do that too because occasionally I get a little froggy and I flip over and do AM activation for POTA, and sometimes it's fine. Sometimes people keep calling me on sideband.
Yep.
I mean, I make sure to put it in the spotting page like 5 times AM activation. I'll still get, like I said, I'll still get that. I also get people that will tell me that I'm wrong for doing AM on anything other than the 2. Because they don't understand the rules, probably because somebody told them that's how it is, right? Yeah. Emission types, and just because the ARRL's
gentleman's agreement
suggested thing up on their website says 7.290 and 7.295 doesn't mean you can't use it anywhere in the band that phone is acceptable.
Yep.
There you go.
So there is a great quote here that we should highlight before we begin wrapping up tonight here. And it goes back a little bit ago from John V5JHN. What I find when you find somebody, what I find when you prove someone wrong is they say, well, you sound good. What I find when you prove somebody wrong is they say, well, you sound good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's never going to work. Yeah, I'm sure we've heard that before.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Cooley and I've made AM contacts before.
Well, man, I made my first contact on 60 with CW with W1. What was it? W1WC. We were on. He was doing a POTA activation. Yeah,
Brian.
Remember, like we were. I think you were on there. We were all on Discord, just chit chatting away one night. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a 10 park rove or something like that."
Right.
And I'm like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna activate on
That's
60."
right, yeah.
And I'm like, "Really?" Made a CW contact with him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Hey Tim, before we begin wrapping up, so we came here to talk about the Salty Walt Antenna Challenge, and I think I've munged the name.
Yep.
The Summer Ham Radio Challenge is what we came here to talk about.
Oh no, that was the thing for the thing. It is the Salty Walt. And now I've matched up the name.
So
pull the thing back up.
So don't pull the thing back up. Death by PowerPoint. So we came here tonight to talk about the Summer Antenna Challenge, and it expires at the end of September. And Tim is going to tell us a summary of the rules and how you can enter in to win our admiration and something else, I think.
Well, there could be some other things.
All right.
We're still working that out. But the long and short of it is we are going to host a summer antenna challenge based on the diagrams, the drawings from Walt that he's got posted both in his antenna book, the portable antenna book, and there will be a link. I'll get that in when I repost the video, the live stream into a video for that book. But also he's got on his YouTube channel, his X and stuff. There are other copies of that if you need it. But build an antenna based off of that and submit it to us. Do it like you're gonna do any. Oh, I love that. We're gonna give away a free Aurora with every entry.
A picture of one.
But picture of one. But build it, do it, document it, get it submitted, have fun. I will post in the Discord. There's a QR code up there by Vanna Jeff. Go ahead and click on that if you're not already a member. Look for the Salty Walt Summer Antenna Challenge thing. We'll get all the rules in there and where to submit it. And as this thing develops, what we're also looking for is if you are interested, if you've got entries submitted early and you want to come on here and talk with us about it, if you've got questions and you want to come on and talk to us about it, we'd love to have you. This is going to be a learning experience, not only a contest, having fun, but also a learning experience for the crowd. Everybody okay? Hiccups?
Yeah, I got hiccups.
Dane, you all right? Okay. But yeah, so that is it in a nutshell. So in the few minutes that we've got left, Frank, what do you got coming up on your channel?
Oh, you mean I actually have to sit here and unmute myself from everything so you don't hear the non-existent keyboard? Got it. Okay. I had to reschedule CQ Chit Chat from this Friday, so that's being postponed. NorCal Swap Nets are every Thursday at 10 Central, 11 for you Eastern Standard folks. I know I still don't get Eastern Standard, but
it's a little late for me.
Anyway,
it's daylight time.
Eastern time. How's that? Regardless, 0300 UTC, the way we all should be handling time. Yeah, I have a couple videos here. I have to get off the chopping floor and into things and get things done, and things have taken a wild turn with life yet again. So we'll see what happens. That's about it. And for those in the chat that were complaining that I was behind my microphone all night, I was imitating Wilson from Tim the Toolman Taylor. Just Wilson over the fence. Yeah, that's what I was doing here.
All right.
I think somebody referred to you as Kilroy. Your nose was hanging over the top.
Yeah. No, I was imitating Wilson from Tim the Toolman Taylor.
I don't know. Guys, I think we should refer to Frank from here on out as just Kilroy.
All right.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
And Carlos, no, Eastern time is not the time. I'm sorry, that's Central. And that's coming from someone who's grown up in Pacific.
All right. Enough bickering. We're short on time.
Yeah.
Yep. Walt, what you got coming up?
We were showing this earlier. I got my Z-Bit X. I can't wait to get out and play with that. Just got it. Going to I've been doing a lot of early morning, as we were talking, a lot of early morning ops. I'm getting ready to start a new job here remotely at home, so I don't have to go like to Poland or Rhode Island or anywhere else in the world. I get to do it from home here, but I'm getting ready to start a new job, and so it means my daytimes of going to the beach are getting ready to come to an end. But it also means that instead of seeing me get up at 5:30 in the morning and talking to the VKs, I'm going to be going out at late in the day as the gray line comes over and talking to my friends in Europe. I'm going to try to start doing that with some QRP here next few videos. Got a few QRP radios I'm going to play with that I've gotten on the that I've either purchased or been sent. So looking forward to that, and that's it. So probably get out tomorrow night and get on 20th in the gray line with my Zed Bidex. The thing is, what antenna will I use? I'll have to pull out my book. I'll build one tomorrow night and have some fun with it.
Awesome. Jeff, how about you?
I only got one thing in the hopper right now, video from Field Day. Yes, Field Day. Gotta make some plans. I'm gonna start making some plans. I have to go back down to Virginia sometime soon. Hint, hint, Walt. So I need to get that done, and I'll probably do some activations down there, or hopefully meet up with Walt. Who knows? But yeah, 2,000 subscriber giveaway still going on, getting closer, slowly but surely. There's gonna be a very huge prize given away too. 7 prize packages. Don't know how I'm gonna do it all yet, but subscribe to win. That's it. Next.
Awesome. Mike, how about you? What do you got going on?
I got my youngest son towards Buffalo this weekend, so it's at a state park. So in between on the air, getting a park activated, if you see me spotted, there will be a good chance there will be some 10, 11, 12-year-olds hopefully around getting interested in amateur radio. So if you work me, it's an opportunity to maybe engage some kids and get them interested in the hobby. And then I got a video I wrapped up, probably will come out Tuesday, where I use an antenna in a way that I don't know that it's been used. Definitely it's not designed to be. It worked. So sticking with the whole theme of what do you like I say, RF around and find out, like have fun. This is experiment. This is how we learn in the hobby.
Did you say
but
ham
I'll have a
around
new
and
video
find
out
out?
probably Tuesday next week.
Did you say ham around and find out?
RF around.
Oh.
Yeah.
RF around.
Hey, I like them both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So and you'll hear the guys from the 60 meter net. But yeah, pretty neat to get 10 bands from an antenna with no tuner. I'll leave it at that.
Del Vargas, real quick, says either the portable ham is re-entering the Earth's atmosphere or he's driving through Pennsylvania.
No, I'm in Oklahoma City, and just some of the roads coming through here are real rough.
Vince, what you got? What,
Dude,
what do you have
I've got content from Field Day.
Oh, sorry.
Dane, go. Dane, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that, Vince. I apologize. Just got a video posted on picking QRO against QRP for your first radio, and my 2 cents on that whole situation. And then I also did a fail video, which isn't me failing. It's talking about using your failures as a way to learn quicker, and also using that to better your success rates later on.
Right on.
Awesome.
That's what I got.
So, hey, don't worry about it, man. So I've got some content about Field Day that I am thinking about how I'm going to share. There's probably going to be a QRPeer.com article about it. There'll probably be a couple of fun short videos released about it. I have hours of content that I need to distill down because nobody wants to watch my backside for 3 hours trying to make CW contacts QRP during one of the busiest days of the year. So I've got a big distillation in front of me. That's what's going on, Tim. What about you? What's coming up for you, buddy?
If you get the right group of people.
You know, I have ventured into the realm of station controllers. And that was one of the things that was on my list of trying to figure out a way. You know, when I work remote, well, let me rephrase that. This building is away from the main house, and I have computer-based radios and all kinds of things over here. And I just leave them up and running. But rainstorms come through. We're here in Indiana. We get all summer long thunderstorms and things like that. And I don't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to come running out here to disconnect the antennas. So I was working through this. How do I disconnect? How do I do this? I also travel for work too. So, and then I got an opportunity to see the station controller with George in person. There at
Hamvention,
Vention, and I walked out of there a few dollars poor, but I've gotten that and since bought more, like the crack in amateur radio. George started me out with the introductory kit, and next thing you know, I'm buying more bits and pieces and bobs, and got another box of stuff in from him today. But so that's gonna be the thing, and I've got most of that set up now. I'm building out the wall behind me there. But the next one is starting to do some of that automation, right? Utilizing Node-RED. It's not as easy as Kyle makes it out to be, but it's not hard either. Because I think if I was trying to program things that I understood right off the bat, it may not be a big thing. Like if I wanted to do something with a computer-based thing, monitor a server or whatever, and use Node-RED to take actions on that. That's all stuff that I know. I don't know if these are considered PLCs or relays on a chip with a logic board, and about the only thing I understand is the addressing of these devices on the DCN network. I understand that because I've been in a computer since Noah was punching out ones and zeros on a stone tablet. So yeah. So that's what I've got coming up over the next couple of weeks is doing that, and then just getting out. Still do the Sunday morning live streams, having fun with that, and getting out having fun.
That's great
and fun.
Well, hey, here's my challenge to everybody here tonight. The Ham Radio Kids Table has 313 subscribers. Please go out and tell 2 friends about us and help us build our subscriber base so that we can do some fun stuff on YouTube. We hope you enjoy this content.
That's right. Well, I know I enjoy it.
We all have fun doing it.
I not only oh God, I totally lost it here. the Hair Club for Men commercials. Not only am I, but I'm a client too.
We're talking Hair Club here. I'm like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Freshly shaven.
Where I was going is not only do I sit here and I participate in the show, I also watch it again later.
Right on.
For the heck of it, right? Because you never know what you never know what you miss. That's the thing. You never know what you miss. Because I'm, got like 5 things going on right now as I'm doing this. But folks, have a great week. Go try something new. There is a new category, by the way, Salty Walt Summer Antenna Challenge. It's on the Discord. If you aren't already following it, click the QR code up there in the corner and get connected with it. If you have questions or anything, post them in there, and hopefully we'll start seeing submissions here in the next couple of weeks. We can get Walt back on and start talking about these things, and let's challenge each other to do something fun and better. Thumbs up. Who else? Oh man, my thing isn't working. All right, guys. We'll see you later. 73, everybody.
73.
Bye.